Hi all, welcome to the channel, welcome to the workshop. Today we're going to be continuing on with the Mallard, and this is issue 23. And after last week's absolutely epic build where we've done tons of stuff, today we have only a single sheet. We're going to be working on the tender chassis, and we're basically just putting some reinforcements into it. So let's get into it, let's get building. Okay, so here we have issue 23 of the Mallard. And as you can see, we've only got this single sheet, and we've got a screw and a nut. And we need to do a little bit of drilling. And then we need to check out the chassis itself. We've got a couple of holes, and it looks like these tabs obviously go into those holes. And we're going to be putting the nut on that little piece. That bit's going to go in there, and then we're putting a piece over the top of it. And then we have something that looks like that. And then today we've got Britain's Railways. And we're finishing with classic locomotives. Okay, and the very first thing we're going to be doing is drilling out these 3 holes here. Now it does say to do it whilst on the fret because that's going to make it a lot easier for us. This is a 2.1mm drill bit. And it looks like that one is already the size we want. This one a little bit tighter. And then I will just double check this one because this one's much smaller. Yep, definitely that one as well. 2.1mm. Always good to have a sacrificial bit of wood kicking around for doing that specific job. Right, so we've now drilled those 3 holes out. So we're just going to take those pieces now out of this fret. We have this one that's got a score line on it, and we're going to need to bend this one to 90 degrees. Just like so. And we need our chassis, and the holes we're interested in are these ones here. Now it says not to glue this in place straight away. Actually, the hole we're interested in is this one here, B. And what we're just doing is just placing that in so that those 2 tabs sit in to the 2 slots on the side, like so. And I think it's just a test fit for now, just to see whether that actually fits in. And it does quite well. So I'm just going to leave that in there for a moment while we move on to the next step. We now need this piece, and again we're going to be bending this one to 90 degrees. And I'm just going to use my pliers to hold that one. So that's now looking just like that. Now we need the nut. So we've got our little nut there, and we're going to be gluing that just over the top of that hole. Now, making sure it's over the top of that hole. I'm just using some super glue just to tack that in place first of all. Because we are going to screw into this at some point in the future, I'm just going to secure that even more with a little bit of 2-part epoxy either side of it, just to ensure that that nut will not move. The super glue just holds it in place whilst the epoxy dries. Right, just going to leave that to one side for the moment. We'll use that in just a moment. We do need to now bend this last piece. And we basically just need to fold these two pieces over so they're 90 degrees. One like that. And then the other one like that. Will require a little bit of shaping, I think. Just to get that completely over. I don't have a set of pliers that are small enough to get into that little gap. Right, so we've got that looking just like so. So now what we need to do, we need to turn our attention to this end of the chassis. And we've got the holes just at the side here. One set is for these tabs here. And then the other set will be for the tabs just here. So the first one is going in this way up and this way round. And that's going into the first set of slots. I'm just going to bend the chassis out a little bit, just so we can get these to slot in, like so. So that's now in there, just like that. I will just run a little bit of super glue just along there, just to ensure that's in place. And again, just a little bit on the edge here and here. Now hold that in place, just like that. And then the last thing we need to do is get this one here. And with the holes all lining up, we're going to place that one in to the other slot just underneath. Ensure they both go in the slot, and lining up the slots here and here for that last tab there. And again, just going to run a little bit of super glue either side. I'm just going to squeeze that chassis together. Right, I'm just going to leave a clamp on that one because the chassis still wants to splay out a little bit. So I'm just going to let that dry with a clamp on it like that. But that is all there is to do in that stage. Thank you very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please remember to give it a big thumbs up. So after last week's mammoth build, there's not a great deal to do on that one. I believe next week we're still working on the chassis, and I think it's going to be a very similar sort of vein where we're just putting some more structure to the main chassis. So that's next week. Obviously this week we didn't use the screw that we had left over that was supplied with this issue. One thing I did miss out on the video is when this glue dries for where I've put that nut, we do need to run a M2 tap in it just to clear out any glue that might be in that thread. So I will do that once that glue and that two-part epoxy has dried, and then that'll make sure that those threads are absolutely perfect. If you want to see more of how Mallard progresses or anything else that goes on in the workshop, please do remember to hit the subscribe button and ding that bell, and then you'll be notified when I release a new video. Until the next time, I'll see you around. Cheers!